Hello. This is the third part of our exploration of machine drawing for new media, and what this is that it's the technique that I use that separates CMYK, cyan, magenta, yellow, and black um, layers and turns them into. I usually use black for the. I usually use black um, for the line, and then I'll take CMY and use those in a couple of different ways. I'm going to show you a couple quick different ways that I do this. This is an image that I took from. This is an image that I took from some of my one of this project I'm working on, and let's see here. Just a moment. I just need to. Okay. Select this layer, get it scaled up. Now, the thing is that although I like a fair amount of detail in a lot of my work, in this case, since we're doing a lot of things that are relatively low resolution, like tracing and stippling, it doesn't matter that much if we um, stretch something out really far. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to take this image and I'm just going to control, and actually I'm going to distort it just a little bit. Let's see here. And I'm going to say it'll be okay. That's not that bad. I'll let it go here. So you can see what this is. It's a hotel somewhere in the Middle East. And so what I'm going to do is that I'm going to pull CMYK out. But there's two things I'm going to do. I'm going to save this first. And I'm going to just save this as command. And then save it in, I don't know, I'll just put in, let's see here, I don't know, I'll just put in 8376, I shouldn't, but I'll say, getting a little disorganized, but that's it, okay. So that's that. There are two ways I can do this. I can, I'll do it two ways. One, I can do this. And I may knock the sky out of this. This might actually be pretty interesting to, I don't know, I may play with it a bit here. Probably will knock the sky out. Let's just do that first part of this. Getting rid of the sky. Not necessarily that having the sky is such a bad thing. It's just really the fact that I want to just really focus on the architecture. And I'll take that out. This one's going to be a little more difficult. But I'm going to go real fast because I'm real fast. I'm not going to worry about this telephone wire. I'm just going to get these little apartments taken care of. And in general, because this is kind of a loose technique, probably don't have to worry too much about getting too incredibly detailed. because a lot of what we're doing is going to create some interesting lines, shapes. The one thing that's really just kind of giving me a little bit of pain are these terraces. But it's not that bad. See, I'm almost done. It's not that big of a thing. All right. In general, that's pretty good. All right. So we have all this, and I'm going to save it again. So one thing that I can do is I can just turn this into. I'm going to leave this maybe at CMYK for the moment, but what I'm going to do is that just for some fun, I'm just going to take the saturation up just, oh, you know what, actually, I think I've got something selected, so I'll just deselect everything, and I'm going to do hue and saturation. Just going to just saturate this stuff like crazy. Okay, look at that, look what just happened. This has all kinds of crazy colors in it. So I'm going to shift this now over to CMYK. I'm going to flatten things. Yep, that's fine. You notice it got a little bit duller. Let's see if we can take the hue and saturation. Just take it up even further. It's going to go about as far as it can because CMYK can only go so far. So I'm going to do, let's see here, maybe one other thing. I wonder whether I can, no, I'm not, I was thinking about doing an outer glow, but I'm not going to do that. Okay, so here's the interesting thing. We've got a bunch of colors here that we can play with. We're now in CMYK. And the one thing that's going to be a little bit difficult about this is that when we start pulling these layers apart, they're going to come out as grayscale, and we're going to have to turn them back into RGB, and we have to be really careful about that because Stipple Generator does not like grayscale. It doesn't like CMYK. It just likes RGB. So this is where things get a little bit weird. The other thing that we need to do is we need to open up the channels window, because what we're going to do is that we're going to take apart this image by color channel. We're going to take apart the black, we're going to take apart the cyan, you know, the blue, the magenta, the reddish, and the yellow. So see what happens here? So let's take a look at what happens when we take these here. So see, this is the black, and so I'm going to go and I'm going to take each one of these channels. I'm going to just take this black channel, make a new image, right? And actually, I'm going to turn the contrast up like crazy on it. I use the legacy again. And see, that's going to be pretty awesome, actually. Okay, so that's pretty easy, but notice what happened. Comes out as grayscale. Got to take it, turn it into RGB. So let's save this. And I'm going to make a new folder. I'm going to call it Command 1. And I'm going to call this black. Black. And honestly, oops, I'm just going to call this black for black. Okay, that's that. Okay, and really, just the same thing with everything else. Take the yellow and this is actually a lot easier than the last one. Wait a second, that was the black. I don't want to use that. I want to use the yellow. New. And see, that gets kind of interesting, right? So that's, and I don't really have to do much with the contrast on that because that's really, no, I don't want to use index color. But that's like GIF. RGB. And I'm going to save as yellow. And let's go back here and turn on magenta, which is pretty cool. As I said, this one's going to be a lot shorter. And really, to tell you the truth, where I want you to go with this assignment, you know, I know that a couple of years I did one. But the whole thing is that it isn't the matter of getting the process. It's the matter of practicing with the process and seeing if you get something interesting. You know, if I see, you know, okay, you know, like Zara just did one and just boom, did it out and just told me I can do the process. Well, I mean, that's good, but that's not real interesting, you know? So it's the idea of saying, what can you do with the process? So that's hopefully gives you an idea of maybe more what I'm looking for. Okay, so we're doing magenta now. And I know I probably should close that, but okay, so magenta, and that's that. And then what I'll do is that let's get the cyan. Put that in. That's actually pretty cool. It's pretty different. I'm actually not going to worry about the contrast on that either. So let's save that. So we've got we should have 4 images here. Yep. And cyan. So just like we did before, I'm going to get Illustrator out. And I think, yeah, what I'll wind up doing is let's get Illustrator running. And then what I'm going to do is that I'm just going to do black for the outline. And then I'm going to do CMY for a fake color. So let's just kind of try that out. I mean, you can mix all of these different techniques that I'm talking about here. With the last one, you can do the spot color. You can bring all of these things. You can do the spot color in split it into CMY. See, like this, you could split this, the same way I did the other one. But I'm going to try a new one. And A3, all that. Okay. And then let's do a place. And command 1. And let's just see if I can get it into a place that I like. And just get it centered up a little bit. That's all right. And then let's image trace it. It's probably this is going to be good with SketchArt. And then let's expand it. Get rid of the fill. Give it a nice black stroke. Maybe 2 pixels, maybe 3. Yeah, 2 pixels. 2 points to be fine. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to ungroup and expand. Mainly, I'm just going to do an ungroup and expand and just see whether, yep, this should be fine. Because what happens, I just want to get that frame out of the way. But that's actually pretty cool, right? And then let's just do 3 more layers. Call this cyan. And yellow. And magenta. So understand that we could also try to do like a fake color separation with the lines by bringing in these colors and do lines with do these with lines. You could sure do that, but I'm just going to do this particular technique by doing stipples on the CMY. The whole thing is I think what you're seeing here is that I'm showing you all these different things, but once you learn how to do this, things can get real individual and really weird really fast, which is great. So here's Simple Gen. This is going to be pretty easy. We'll just get in these. We'll get in these images. I'm probably going to put a nice variation on of size of dot, probably like 1 to 4, and then maybe about 5,000-6,000 pixels, 5 or 6,000 stipples. But first, we always do the test. We always do the test. Let's do cyan first. Do the test with a fairly low number of pixels, because this is a pretty big image. So, okay. And I'm going to take the minimum dot size down to about 80.87. And let's take the stipple count to about 6,000. Okay, see what happens. And of course, it's going to take probably about 30 seconds for each one of these to render out. Because there's a lot of calculation going on here, actually. Actually, if, as I said, there's the source code for this is out online in in processing. And if anybody is a crazy coder, you could probably rework it into something like C++ in open frameworks. But I'm not sure you guys are into that. So okay. So I've got this. That's not too bad. I think it could be a little bit better, but I'm gonna let it be what it is. Cyan SVG, and let's do that. Okay, and then let's just do it. Let's just do the same thing with all three of these, except for the fact that I would like to get the dot range size down just a little bit. I think that'll be all right. Okay. Just close magenta SVG. And let's just do the same thing for the last one. This will be pretty straightforward. And then we'll just bring these in, put them on layers, see how it goes. And I mean, you can actually change the colors if you want. Let's say the stipples, and then I'm just going to say these are yellow, yellow SVG. And that's that. So that's pretty easy. So let's just get out our layers. Yep. Window, layers, cyan. Let's bring in cyan. Place, cyan SVG. And actually, if you notice, I'm just kind of trying to line this up like this, but I think it's going to go further than where I want. That's okay. You just want to kind of line up the image with what you have, and I mean, and that's down there. Top seems like it's lined up. Left seems like it's a little bit off. Yeah, it's better. And might need to come in just a little bit more because I'm just seeing this being a little bit weird with this this here, but I can just see that the I can just see that this lining up with this, you know, isn't working at 100%, but that's fine. It's you know, this is artistic. We can do some interesting things. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this object, I'm going to ungroup it, and do I need to expand it? No, I don't need to expand it. I just need to ungroup it. And it's going to do it a couple times. And then do a lasso to get rid of my unwanted stipples. And by the way, you know we are going to be showing these things. Well, I'm imagining that SICA is going on in the fall, so we'll be showing these in Dubai. So, and by the way, if you're in another class and you hear this, basically, I usually try to show this stuff every year in SICA, and then generally the audience likes it really well. So, try to usually show these processes around, and it's good for all of us. So anyway, all right, that's cyan. Hey, look at that. But you know the one thing we want to do, and we've got the one side locked down, and then the thing is, we want to give this a cyan stroke. There you go. So this is going to get interesting, right? So here's we want to go to yellow, and I think this is going to be really cool that we wind up doing yellow next, because I think that the big reveal on this is going to be with magenta. I think where this whole thing is going to really come together is really when we get magenta out. And I'm being a lot less, shall we say, kind of precious with how I did this, because what I'm going to do is I'm just going to let myself just kind of move things into place, knowing that the bottom is here. Top is here. And okay, and then I'll make sure that's locked. I'll select everything, and then I'll just ungroup that, and then give it a yellow stroke. And then I'll just go around and clean up and actually I'm going to let the registration be a little bit sloppy on this, because I think it might make things kind of interesting. Because I might use a gold pen on this. We'll see. See, the thing is that drawing with the yellow, it's sometimes more effective sometimes than others. And by the way, notice what I just did. I did not, actually what I could have done is I could have closed it and then done an inverted selection. But okay. And let's get a couple more out, and that's not too bad. I'll lock that. Let's bring in magenta. I think what I might wind up doing when I wind up actually printing this is doing the dots first and then putting the line down so that it will go over the dots. The other thing I'm going to do after I do this is that I'm going to show you just one way to get a really different set of colors. But I'm not going to put it together. I'm just going to show you, how to get a really different set of colors. So here's magenta. Okay. And as we can see, we're kind of out of alignment. So let's see where we're at. And yep. And well, in this process, you make some compromises actually. Because where does one part of the image like to put itself versus others? And that's okay. Let me ungroup this. Let me lasso out a bunch of stuff. I might be a little too aggressive with this right at the moment, but we'll see. Also, another thing, the other reason why I do this lassoing out of extra pixels is, on one hand it's less messy, but also on the other hand, if you have it, if you have this stuff all over the place, and you're and you've got this too far out to the edge, and you don't have the robot lined up just perfectly, doesn't always work so great. So, okay, so I have everything locked down except for the magenta. I'm going to give it a nice magenta and see how it looks. That's pretty cool, actually. Okay, and I think the only thing I'll wind up doing is I'll take the black, I'll move it to the top, and I'll just give it a little wider stroke. And that's it. Not bad. So I like this. Call this GE. And Command 1 and save that, and that's fine. So that really completes that process. By the way, you can, of course, substitute other colors for CMYK. You can go nuts. You can put other overlays. You can put text on top. You can do all kinds of things. That's not a problem. So let's talk about how we can go back and do something different with this. And maybe that's it. Okay. So really what I'm going to do is I'm going to do something totally artificial. I'm going to desaturate this. It's going to be totally bland. So by the way, you can see I'm working on something on animation 1 here. What I'm going to do is that I'm going to take this and I'm going to take this color. So what I did is I went out and I just looked at maybe wild color or psychedelic or whatnot. And I'm just going to put this over this. And I'll free transform it. Just to make sure it just goes over everything. I don't care about the resolution. And of course it's pretty saturated, but I'm going to just let it go completely up. And, oops, not colorize, just turn the saturation way up. This makes it a little crazier. And then what I'm going to do is that I'm going to do the blend mode as color. Right? And then we can put, we can do other things like we can put, outer glow. Say it's normal. Spread it out. Am I doing this right on this? Oh, wait a second. Okay, yeah, this should be fine. Okay. Huh. Okay, take the opacity up to 100%. For some odd reason, I don't know why this. Oh, wait a second. It's white, of course. Right? And then, we can take the black out. So this is, you can get an idea for what happens. See, you could take the green channel, you could take the red channel, you could do all kinds of crazy things. So that's that. So this concludes this particular tutorial, and I mean, just in general, that gives you an idea where to go, and this really ends this. Where are we going to go? I think what we're going to do is we're going to do a Facebook Stories AR tutorial, and not sure entirely about the Paper Village. We'll talk about that tomorrow. But anyway, great. Thanks a lot, and then we will talk to you soon.